I was doing things as silly as wearing a hat in the middle of the night to take out the kitchen trash. And I am not kidding. I would literally look for my hat to go outside when everyone else is sleeping. No one's gonna see me. What was I so afraid of? And I think it's important that I go over some of the things that I've learned when you lose your hair and you have to glue it on like I do. I wear a hair system and I've been wearing a hair system for a year. Finding that confidence again has taught me so much about myself, about what confidence really means, and all of these fake rules that society will give you when you do something that they don't understand. I'm hoping this video helps you, especially if you're a guy who is considering all of the solutions that are out there for hair loss. I am not saying that a hair system is better than the other solutions. This is a highly personal decision that you have to make for yourself. No one else should be able to make this decision for you, and you have to make the one that you can live with, that matches your lifestyle, and ultimately one that you can truly find that smile again and not spend so much mental bandwidth focusing on an insecurity that is stealing joy away from you from all of the other amazing things in your life. Imagine if you just step back and zoom out, add up all the time that you've spent mental bandwidth on paying attention and focusing and stressing about your hairline. These are the things that I think a lot of guys go through, and there's many stages of losing your hair and many emotions that come along with that. You have those first stages where you think you might be noticing your hairline changing a little bit, maybe in your early 20s or even your early 30s. And as you first notice that first glimpse of your hairline changing, it's almost as if you can never take that knowledge back, because now it only gets worse from there. The amount of time and stress that you are spending on looking and paying attention to your hairline, it only gets worse. It almost never improves. It takes us a long time to finally do something about it. I waited 15 plus years before I even thought of a solution. I am not condoning waking up and gluing hair to your head. There are so many options that can be fantastic for guys to solve their hair loss. From a medical standpoint, early medical intervention with hair loss meds, for most guys, that is going to be the most evidence-based approach and successful approach to keeping your hair. It's much harder to try to grow hair back that's already been thinning or falling out than preventing that hair loss in the first place. So obviously, if you're going to go down the medication route, something like finasteride or minoxidil, you really want to make sure you're doing that with physician guidance. Do most men tolerate the medication? Yes. That doesn't mean there isn't a real risk. If you want to avoid going bald, you need to prevent it before the hair starts falling out in the first place. That is not where I started. I ignored it for too long. I ignored it for 15 plus years before I finally decided to do something about it. But that doesn't make one decision better than the other. The hair system has truly changed my life. What I find so ironic is that it has taught me to be confident with and without the hair. I post my silly bald head with what I call my power donut. If I was not able to find my confidence, I would never be able to post to anybody, let alone to millions of people a month. And so what I think is so ironic is by using a hair system, I have finally unlocked what confidence actually is. And I am able to show my bald head, to use the hair, to talk to everybody around me, even strangers, about wearing a toupee. I am not ashamed at all. And I am so thankful that the hair system has been able to unlock that for me. When you finally are able to quiet that voice in your head about an insecurity, that stress, that those voices in my head about my hairline, they were completely gone. And so now going throughout my day, not paying attention to my hairline, I was paying attention to the conversations I was having. I was not focused about what happens when I went outside and if there was wind. I was not worried about, do I need to be somewhere with a hat? I was not trying to focus on my best angles when I was taking pictures. I was there in the moment and I stopped thinking about my hairline. I'll never forget when I went to my first baseball game, when the national anthem came on, the insane relief that I felt that I wasn't stressed about taking off my hat that I was wearing. I could just take off my hat. And I was like any other guy there that took off their hat. Now, for guys who are not losing their hair, they're not gonna understand this. To them, this is gonna sound a bit strange. Just get over it, just shave it, just own it, right? We've heard all these things before. And I want to remind you that if you are a guy looking for a solution, whether that's a hair transplant or a hair system like me, do not let people tell you how to define your own confidence, because at the end of the day, you have to live with it. And I also wanna remind you that hair, or lack thereof, is not who you are. It is a physical feature that you are allowed to prefer, just like I do. I prefer hair. I have actually learned to really enjoy what I look like with a shaved head. But that doesn't mean I don't have a preference. So I continue to use the hair. And I like the flexibility of it over something like a hair transplant, which I can go into in a different video of why I don't want to get a hair transplant. But having the hair system and having that availability has been such a great option for me. I think of it as an option that I have to express my preferred look. I don't hide it from people that I wear a hair system, but I have this tool that is available to me where I can achieve a hairstyle that I like and I prefer. That doesn't mean I'm ashamed anymore of being bald. And I don't think I was ashamed before. I think it was just something that I was so heavily worried that people would look at me and immediately that's what they would focus on, as opposed to focusing on me and who I am. And I think that's also another big unlock when you have hair and you solve that insecurity. You give yourself a chance for people to just see the person instead of the thinning hairline. Now, you could argue that people don't pay attention that much. They're not looking at your bald head and thinking, oh my God, this guy is bald. I think sometimes that is true, but I also think when you are bald or balding heavily, it's such a striking characteristic that it's very hard to convince me that most people, when they meet you, that's on their mind. Humans like to label things. And when you put the hair back on, or you get a hair transplant, or you use a hair system like me, they aren't looking at your hairline. They're just looking at you. And that is one of my favorite things about having hair again, is you feel like you get to remove that piece that was distracting people and they just get to see you. I get asked a lot, what do you do on a first date? Or what do you tell someone that you're dating? If you sit down on that first date and you are heavily receding or very bald and you are very aware of that, they are also aware of it. And let's say that your date's preference is not to date a guy who is bald. And that is their right. You don't make it weird, but you just say, hey, we've been on a couple dates. I thought you should know I lost my hair quite a few years ago. It was something that was a bit of an insecurity. I decided to do something about it. I wasn't really interested in a hair transplant, so I wear a hair system. I just wanted you to know in case that was something you wanted to talk about. But then you just move on. You're confident about it. You're not making it like it's some sort of crutch. You just move on. And I am here to tell you, most women don't care. And even that woman who may have preferred a guy who was not balding, the fact that you've had a chance now for her to get to know you for the last 2 to 3 dates, her decision now is not based off of first impressions or first appearance. Now she gets to make a decision, not just about this balding guy in front of her. She's had 2 to 3 dates to really get to know who you are. Just don't make it weird. It's only weird if you make it weird. All of that mental bandwidth that was stealing your confidence based off of one insecurity, that is now gone. And now your internal confidence that was always there to begin with can come to the surface and it flourishes and it translates to every part of your life. Your partner, your job, your relationships, your friendships. It truly changes the confidence that's exuding off of you merely because you were able to now focus your brain on other great qualities about yourself that you probably weren't appreciating for so many years because you were just so stuck on your hairline. I hope that was helpful and gave you some perspective. If you want to hear more about my hair system journey over the last year or any specific topics, please let me know, drop a comment. Don't forget, it really helps creators out. If you could like the video and if you want to hear more, stay up to date, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for following along. And remember, bald is not a hairstyle.